Hello, welcome to Lemon Stew, so we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lamone, and this is my review for Clash in Paris. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share, to leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on Clash in Paris, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, yeah, Clash in Paris has finally come and it's gone, and we all knew the show would be good, right? Like, it couldn't be bad at all, unless, they booked all of the wrong winners and they deliberately tried to piss off this crowd. But we knew the French crowd was going to bring the noise, and therefore a standard match was going to be elevated into a good match, or hell, even a great match. And I would say a lot of the quality of the wrestling on this show really did surprise me, even with the booking of the opening match of Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. Now, I will say overall the ongoing theme of Clash in Paris is that it all lacked jeopardy. Like, throughout the whole entire night, never at one point did I think Roman Reigns was going to lose, or the Y6 were going to lose, or if Becky Lynch was going to lose, so on and so forth. I was all pretty confident in all the winners who were going to win in Clash in Paris, besides for one match, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But yeah, Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. I really do feel like Paul Heyman had a huge hand in the booking of this match, or at least within the layout of it, because we played to Bronson Reed's strengths all the way through the whole entire match. I like the good throwback to the 80s, just in, the very simple stuff like Roman going for the spear and Bronson just catching him, and among other things, and how it was just to feel like, okay, if we get to the tsunami, it's over. So Roman has to keep getting out of it. It took, I think 4 attempts until he finally gets to spear him, or hell, even lifting him up. Like I said, it was a good throwback to the 1980s type of wrestling, where you just get two big guys and they're both struggling to lift each other up, and it was just a fight. I love the beginning of the shoulder tackles of when Roman is just he jumps off the ropes and he bounces off, and Bronson's like, go ahead, do it again. And then Roman does it again, he goes, and then Roman's like, okay, your turn, you go do it. And then Bronson goes to do it, Roman just uppercuts him. Loved all of that. And I think overall this match really did elevate Bronson Reed to another level, which it was going to no matter what. It would just depend on how do we follow up after he loses, because again, at no point did I expect Roman Reigns to win. Not even one time that I was like, oh my God, and thinking that, they're actually going to do it. Bronson Reed is going to pin Roman Reigns. No, I never had that whatsoever. The Super Samoan drop from the top rope was also really good, and that's what finally gets him the spear. The ooh-ahs were freaking loud as hell. They were probably the loudest they have ever been. And then, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And then the post-match angle, which I do hear so far that it splits people right down the middle. Or from what I've saw, it's kind of splitting people right down the middle. To me, yes, it went long. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not even going to argue that segment. And to me, yeah, we probably could have trimmed this down, this whole entire angle, the match and everything, to maybe 35 minutes, if I'm being completely honest. And I do believe this did kind of take up the whole entire first hour of Clash in Paris, which got me nervous for, some other matches that were going to get cut short. And maybe they did, but for the most part, I think all the matches kind of served their purpose on what they needed to do. But, Roman getting the shoes back, good touch. You need to do it. And Paul handing them back just because he doesn't want to get beat up. And Bronson Reed on the floor going, no, my shoes. And then, Roman does choke him out, choke Paul Heyman out, and then goes out and throws the shoes into the crowd. Braun Breaker hits the spear, literally comes from out of nowhere and destroys Roman Reigns. Where we would assume this is how we write Roman Reigns off, right? Because he's got to go film Street Fighter. Again, they did really good at really establishing the heat for Bronson Reed, because after Braun Breaker hits those couple of spears, which I also really like the crowd saying, who let the dogs out? I really hope America takes notice of that. So hopefully we get that on Monday Night Raw. Because now the Browns are allowed back into the building. And, we get the who lets the dogs out, and the crowd goes, every time they see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, they sing it, because I really did enjoy that chant quite a bit. Bronson hit a couple of tsunamis, one when he's on the stretcher and he's strapped down. I really like that visual as well. Jay coming out and then getting injured. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, again, all of it was good business. I think they did really good, establishing Jay to get like, okay, he's not 100%, so this still justifies him to go for the world heavyweight title, and then, getting Bronson Reed his heat back. Roman Reigns gets written off. Braun Breaker gets a much needed heat as well. Again, good business all around. I just think we really could have cut this segment down quite a bit as opposed to a whole entire hour. And then we get to the Wyatt Six versus the Street Profits. Them coming out in Borderlands gear was actually pretty cool. And then, the whole miscommunication between the two. I'm very curious to see if we're going to really gun-ho on this breakup, which, it is probably time. Because they've been a tag team for, 8 years? Let's see how they could do on their own. I mean, we've all been wanting the Montez Ford singles run for quite some time. Angelo Dawkins, I hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. I think he can do very well on his own as well. I mean, he has, I hate it when people say this, but, he has the body type that WWE likes quite a bit. So I think both of them are going to succeed very well. Montez Ford has the charisma, and Angelo Dawkins, we'll see what he could do on his own. But I think both of them have a really huge benefit on it. So when we started off and they're arguing about who's going to start the match and, the blind tagging in, I was like, ooh, I'm kind of intrigued by it. I wish that we could go a little bit more of a longer route with it. I kind of wish the breakup was just, hey, I want to go on my own. And then they go off their own separate direction, and one gets really successful and the other doesn't. And then that justifies a heel turn for the other, and then we can have that program. But yeah, everything here we did good here. The match itself was fine. There was the interference, and y'all know my thing. If you're going to do it, you probably should wait for it to be at the end, which we did do here. But I just think if you're going to do it a lot on Raw and SmackDown, you can't be doing it a lot on PLEs either. And we did it twice here on this show. Overall, it's okay. Y6 hold on to their titles, but I think the main takeaway from the tag title match was the divide that is starting to happen between Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Hopefully we keep that going. Really excited to see how that plays on SmackDown, because, the SmackDown tag division, they could use a little trimming, and then the Raw tag division needs a little bit more beefing up. Then we had Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch. We'll just talk about it right now. The mess up on or the missed spot, I should say, when Mickey goes for a drop kick and Becky's nowhere to be found. It's kind of like when you're playing WWE 2K and you are close to the ropes and you accidentally push the wrong button and you jump off the ropes. We've all been there, right? When we're playing 2K and we push the wrong button and we do this crazy move, like, where the hell did that come from? And we miss our opponent completely. That's exactly how it looked. It was very funny. Like let's not act like it wasn't funny. Mistakes happen in wrestling. By all means, am I saying Nikki Bella's a bad wrestler now? No. Do I think their match was overall bad? It wasn't great, but I don't think it was a bad match either. It was fine for what it was. But yeah, when someone messes up, it's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. When that happened, I was like, she thought she was hitting John Cena. It was funny. But yeah, for the match overall itself, it was fine. But again, it just lacked that jeopardy. Not at any point was I thinking, okay, Nikki Bella has a chance to win here. No, I knew this was just a build-up until we get to the finish. Becky Lynch was going to retain her title. She does it with that surprise roll-up that she did at Evolution. Very, very cool makeshift pin thing. And it was the only surprise roll-up, so that was fine as well. But yeah, I don't think there's really much more to talk about besides one, the mess up. Acknowledge that it was funny, but also don't bully Nikki Bella about it. Mistakes happen. It's funny. Let's have a good laugh, and then let's move on from it. But yeah, Becky Lynch losing the belt was never in my mind whatsoever. Not once did I buy into it. And I think out of all the 6 matches, this is probably the one that was lacking the least, because out of all of them, the most confident one that I was in that lacked jeopardy was this one. And that does have an indicator when you do go into these PLEs. You want at least 1% doubt. I didn't even have 0.1% doubt heading into that match. Well, all the others like, okay, well, maybe we can do this. But, still pretty confident that this person's going to win. Then Sheamus versus Rusev, arguably probably match of the night, right? I mean, they just had a lot of fun with the way that they were beating the hell out of each other. You can tell these guys love each other backstage too, with how hard they were fucking punching, because they were like, there was multiple times like, they do realize this is fake, right? Like they don't need to go this hard with each other. the spot, the Miyagi through the bar was actually really, really cool. And then, of course, the white noise off of the whiskey barrels was really, really great as well. Sheamus tapping out, I really did enjoy, because we're in this trend right now where, like, yeah, we're not going to tap out, but we're pass out finishes. And now actually tapping out is like so rare these days, because I don't know, maybe they think it makes them weak. It doesn't. Like, when you go through a barn burner like Sheamus and Rusev did, at some point, yeah, I'm in too much pain. I don't want to go anymore. I'm going to tap out. And that's what Sheamus did here. I also like how the commentary brought up, hey, this is the second time that he's ever tapped out, which, yeah, I had to think. I was like, I don't recall the last time Sheamus tapping out. Maybe it was against John Cena during that first run where they were feuding for the WWE title. But I'm not even sure on that whatsoever, because I know he didn't tap out to Gunther. They did the whole pass out angle with that. But tapping out to the Accolade with the shillelagh in his mouth, very, very good visual. Now we just need to follow up. Hopefully on Monday we have a clear plan for what Rusev's going to do. Hopefully we keep Sheamus within the mix as well. Honestly, I have a friend who tells me that, no, they need to redo the bar with Rusev and Sheamus. And I'm starting to maybe believe that. Because, I mean, the Raw Tag Division just needs teams, and they need new, fresh blood. Like I heard for Raw today, we are doing the War Raiders versus the New Day, and they have Penta and Grayson Waller with each other. It's just like, what the War Raiders have to do with anything with the Penta and New Day feud whatsoever? Again, we just need some fresh teams there just to really add some life to this tag division. And, you know, what are the Judgment Day doing? There's not even like a clear plan on what their next challengers are going to be. It's just, we have a lot of work that needs to be done within that division. So Rusev and Sheamus being added to it, I don't hate the idea anymore. Well, I never hated the idea. I just didn't think that was an idea they would do. I now do think it is very much a possibility, because what is the follow-up after this, right? I mean, Rusev's not going to fight Bronson Reed. That's the only big monster that's left. I don't know what other big baby faces that Rusev could face that's not already preoccupied, because when we get to the main event, we'll talk about it. I feel like they're all going to be pretty occupied, besides maybe one of them. But then we move into John Cena versus Logan Paul, which I'm going to say something very, very unfamiliar, unfamous, unpopular. I'm going to have an unpopular opinion. To me, this was my match of the night. I don't know, it's because my expectations were so low, because I just didn't think they were going to be able to mesh very well, because, you know, it's very known John Cena doesn't pre-plan much. He doesn't even pre-plan his promos. He kind of just goes out there and he goes off of the crowd, which is why he's one of the greatest of all time, right? If not the greatest of all time. To me, he is the greatest of all time. 2, Logan Paul is very well known to choreograph all of his matches. He pre-plans every single thing that he wants to do before we get to the ring. And I see a lot of hate on this match, because they were talking about, oh, it was just a spot fest between it, because, you know, John Cena hit his Code Red. He hit a Styles Clash. He hit it in the days. Logan Paul hit a zigzag. Oh, John Cena also hit our Angel Wings as well, which was just like, where did that come from, Cena? Logan Paul hitting the buckshot lariat, the zigzag. What else did he hit? He hit an overdriver, which I have not seen in a long time, and that I legit thought that the spot was a mistake. Like, oh man, he put too much force behind it. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's an actual move. And you know, there was a lot of, but if you replace Logan Paul with someone that, I mean, it's the IWC, so, you know, everything's with a grain of salt with them. But, you know, if you replace Logan Paul with, you know, a Will Ospreay or an AJ Styles, everyone's calling this the match of the year. And I will defend that to my dying breath. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm a Logan Paul mark. I'm far from it. Like I say, a lot of things why you don't like Logan Paul, personally, I completely get, and I share those same thoughts with you. As a person, I probably wouldn't want to have a beer with Logan Paul, right? I'm not discrediting that whatsoever. But as a wrestler and as a performer, and as this was clearly a, hey, we're just going to go out there and we're going to go with the crowd. This, to me, was Logan Paul's best match of his career. And I think Cena has just found his stride. I really thought Cena was going to struggle going back to being a babyface performer without having the bells and whistles, because, you know, his matches are always so up-tempo, and, you know, with where he is at, there's a reason why he's doing this retirement tour. I just didn't think it was going to be able to precise of what we expect out of John Cena. And again, with how Logan Paul does things, I just didn't think it was going to mesh well. Boy, did it. I had a lot of fun with this match. I was surprised with the amount of actual moves that they did throughout it. A lot of the good callbacks that we've got to see. I just had a great time. And of course, the French crowd with all the chants they were doing for Cena. I like the banner of the thank you, Cena. I mean, it was so loud in there that I actually got nervous for the main event because I was like, oh man, this crowd literally came to see this match. We probably should have put it on last. But then we get to the main event, and everyone is still loud for it. Everyone's singing along to the songs. I mean, CM Punk theme song with everyone singing it after the music was over was really, really cool to see. But I gotta say, I didn't love the Fatal 4-Way that much. Not because the match was bad. The match was good. It was just, to me, it just never really got to that second gear. And also, I think it was the fact that we were all waiting on who would be the fourth person to join the Vision, right? Because, when Roman Reigns gets written off, Adam Pearce tells Team Braun, hey, leave the facility. If y'all are back in this building in any capacity, you are suspended without pay. So you're just like, okay, well, there's going to be a fourth person. Then we have an interview with Seth Rollins before the match, and he goes, yeah, I always have a plan B. It's like, okay, so there is going to be a fourth person who's joining. So while, all these things are happening, everyone's fighting with each other because they all want a piece of Seth. And then Jay goes, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all beat his ass? And then, they all beat his ass. And then they go to get the table. And then Jay sets it up. And then he super kicks CM Punk. I like all those spots. I did. I had a lot of fun with it. But again, it was just came to a point. I was like, well, I know Seth's going to retain. And he's going to retain because of this. There's going to be a fourth person who joins. So I'm kind of just sitting here waiting until this fourth person joins because that's the only progression that we're going to have within the story to really see how Monday Night Raw is going to shape out, right? Now, like I said, what could Rusev do? Since Jay was not involved within the finish whatsoever, right? I do think Punk and LA Knight are going to have their own feud going down the line. I think Rusev could possibly work with Jey Uso. I think that could be a fun program to have. I mean, Jey Uso had his time. Now maybe he needs to start putting some people over, and he's a sympathetic babyface. To me, it could work out. And then with how this show ended, I think LA Knight CM Punk is going to wait a little bit because at the end CM Punk was going to get the win. Hits the GTS on Seth. He's going to do it again and hit him again with it because for some reason now a finisher that's hit once no longer finishes a match whatsoever. I mean, there was a lot of kickouts on this show. But then Becky Lynch comes out with the hood on, hits CM Punk in the groin region. Seth Rollins gets the 1, 2, 3. I mean, the rumors already started. It's going to be AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, which, absolutely do it. I'm all for it. Love it. But, again, I think after that program ends, and I think maybe you make that match titles. You put the Intercontinental title and the World Heavyweight title on the line for it. What did AJ Lee do to get a title shot? Who cares? Like it again. The name's big enough to justify the title match. To me personally, anyway. And then after that, you move on from CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Although I do think they maybe need to do one last round before one last true one-on-one match, maybe do it in Hell in a Cell just to put a draw line under it and okay, no, these two need to go their separate ways. Whenever we do a draft, they need to go to different brands. They have been feuding ever since CM Punk came back. But again, Fatal 4 was fine. It was a good match. In fact, now that all the context in, maybe I can just enjoy the match if I ever go back to rewatch it. But that match never just really kicked the second gear for me. Because again, I was waiting on whoever the fourth person was going to be, and I was pretty happy with how the card pulled out. But overall, very surprised by the show. I knew it was going to be good. To me, it elevated to great. The crowd had a big part in that. But all the matches to me were good. I have my problems within them. Like I said, no match really got into full second gear for me. If I had to guess the best matches to me, John Cena versus Logan Paul to me is 1, and then Sheamus versus Rusev and the Donnybrook is 2, and then Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed within the 3, and then the other 3 could fight out. Maybe the Fatal 4-Way 4th tag match 5, and then the women's IC title 6, maybe, if I had to rank them. But yeah, overall, good show. I think the quality of wrestling was really good. Just hopefully we get some focus now heading into Monday Night Raw, and the stories just elevate a little bit better, because I do think WWE has been coasting for a long time, and I just think it needs to end. But let me know what y'all think about it down in the comment section. Leave a like if you made this far within a review. I do greatly appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button, as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. And don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give you all. So squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.